And welcome to the Sportscast, February 14th, 2019, Valentine's Day edition of the Sportscast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and iTunes. And if you are on iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. Also, if you're on Twitter, please like us. Please follow us on Twitter. I have a lot of interaction there. And, of course, visit us on the sportscast.net for all the news and all the updates and where you guys can see us and listen to us. The Florida Gators have received good news today that defensive coordinator Todd Grantham will not take the job with the Bengals and will stay in Florida for his second season. He's been a target for the Bengals, and also he had interest from first-year coach Zach Taylor. To talk to us a little bit about that, Mr. Justin Riley, welcome back to the Sportscast.
Man, glad to be here after a week hiatus. Man, last week, sorry I couldn't get on the air. Was feeling a little bit of the sickness has been kind of going around here down the southeast. Was able to overcome that. Went to work out, forced it out, and back and ready to go again.
Now, you were saying that you work out then, while you're sick, you try to work out to get the sickness out?
Absolutely. This may sound unorthodox, and I don't recommend it for everybody, but when I feel like I'm coming down with something and I feel like I'm going down for the count, one, I don't do sick. So, I got too much going on. And, I have some serious goals, especially on the fitness side of things. I'm a powerlifter, and I have competition season going on right now. So missing opportunities to go to the gym can be a detriment to me, but also missing, work opportunities and opportunities to grow and other avenues of life. I just can't deny that. So I actually go to the gym anyway, and I work out, and I actually will force or will the sickness out of my body. And believe it or not, this unorthodox method actually works for me.
It does. Don't try this at home. Not recommended, but if you do it at your own disclosure, your own discretion.
Yeah, most definitely.
Anyways,
not a doctor by any means.
This is not
here, but
yeah, he's not a health physician. Does not recommend it. That's his experience, and it's up to your your own judgment. So, anyways, Grantham, he used to be a Mississippi State guy, and now he's with Dan Mullen. Stays with Florida. How crucial is it? Is Grantham a good coach?
He's absolutely a great coach, man. He is a college football journeyman for many years and has actually been responsible for producing a lot of the top NFL talent you see on the field today, and also some upcoming guys that will be in this year's draft. And he's been successful wherever he's gone. He was with Mullen when he was at Mississippi State and helped put together a very solid Bulldogs defense, probably one of the better defenses outside of the likes of Alabama and LSU and the SEC. And then, of course, he came over to Florida for the first year. Florida already had somewhat of a strong defense, but was able to take them to that next tier and make them a lot more competitive.
Yeah, Grantham spent 11 seasons in the NFL from 1999 to 2009 with 4 separate teams. He was hired by former coach Mark Richt to take over the Bulldogs defense and spent 4 seasons in Athens, Georgia from 2010 to 2013. The transition to college wasn't too easy as the Bulldogs defense regressed in each of his final 3 seasons. Bobby Petrino gave Grantham a second change at the college game at Louisville, where he found his groove with talented Cardinals roster. The Cardinals finished second in the ACC in total defense in 2014 with 308.5 yards per game, and then third in 2015 and 2016 with 332.8 and 322.2. Grantham then moved to Starkville, Mississippi, with former Mississippi State and current Gators head coach Dan Mullen for 2 seasons, following Mullen to Gainesville when he was fired to take over the Gators prior to the 2018 season. Obviously, like the Bengals were interested for him. Will this be a huge plus, for him to, huge plus for him to stay at Florida?
I certainly think so. I think that Grantham feels like that he still has a lot to accomplish at Florida, and there's definitely a lot of potential for Florida coming into this second season under the Mullen regime. They returned a lot of top talent, and a lot of those guys are going to help them to compete not only in the East but for the SEC as a whole. They have a real opportunity to do something special this upcoming season. But I also feel, too, that that going to the Bengals right now wasn't quite the job that he wanted. And I just think that the Bengals organization right now has too much negative surrounding it, too much toxicity surrounding it. And this is my opinion. I feel like that he didn't really want any part of that. And so I think that probably played a factor in his decision-making between the Bengals and between the Florida Gators. But I think the biggest thing was I think he still has a lot more to accomplish at Florida, and they have some high goals. They're certainly attainable going into this next season.
He's expected to make $1.8 million. He's one of the 5 highest-paid assistant coaches in college football. Now, looking at the Gators, do you think they're able to compete against Georgia next season?
I think they have all the right pieces in place, but the biggest question mark, and I believe I've said this before, is going to be Felipe Franks. Is Felipe Franks going to get out of this cage of mediocrity and unachieved expectations and transcend to be the elite quarterback that he was projected to be coming out of high school? He was a 4-star quarterback, certainly has the physical attributes of a successful quarterback, but his stats tell a different story. And a lot of Gator fans are really getting impatient right now, and they're wanting to take that next step. And I think that he is the key factor in this whole equation of can they compete with Georgia? Can they surpass Georgia and get back to playing Gator football, competing for and winning SEC Eastern Division titles, but also SEC championships? The quarterback position is going to be the be-all, end-all. And how they answer and address that will determine how far they go. Now, Dan Mullen can work some miracles, and he's great at developing talent. And he got a lot out of Franks this year, definitely more than what the previous regime would have done. But can Franks turn the corner and be an elite quarterback, especially an elite quarterback that Florida Gator fans are accustomed to getting them to that next level?
The Florida Gators, according to Krista, will be good for 2020, but not for 2019. I think he's predicting all these recruits coming in will be built. But Georgia, like we were talking about, has done well. They came second in the recruiting class this past couple of months. So they're definitely going to dominate the SEC at least for next year. Nick Saban.
I will say, sorry about that. I will say, speaking of recruiting, Florida's chances for the future are certainly bright. They wowed us with, I believe, a top 10 finish in recruiting, which was really unexpected. And they had some flips from notable places like Alabama to join their squad. So both them and their rival Tennessee certainly made a strong statement on National Signing Day.
I've heard so much, news, that players flipping from Alabama to other teams, but Alabama still came in first.
They did, and certainly there were some key players that defected. But if you look at the picture as a whole, the quality was still there, and in mass quantities. So while a few got led astray, the group as a whole was still pretty dang incredible. So it didn't really affect that number one ranking. Didn't really ever put it in jeopardy, to be quite honest.
Speaking about Alabama, Nick Saban gave a exclusive interview to 247 Sports this past week. He said, "To me, we kind of have the Alabama factor around here that has always helped us to be successful. That's having a team that plays with a lot of discipline. That's having a team that everybody sort of is responsible and accountable to do their job at a high level, and a standard, and everybody puts the team first, right? So that's the standard. It's up to the individual players to do that. And if I thought that we weren't doing that in 1 or 10 games, I would address it with the players and make sure that everybody was on board with those principles and values that helped us be successful." And I don't think we played in that game with Alabama with the Alabama factor. So everybody needs to understand that and respond to it. If you lose your humility, it sort of creates I'm above doing things the way I need to do them to prepare for a game and go play in a game against good competition. And if I put my own agenda ahead of the team or winning, it's going to have some effect on my performance. So if I think those things are existent in the program, I think that they need to be addressed, and they have been. So do you think there were some individuals in the team that did not perform well during the championship?
Well, first of all, I like to respond with a hearty amen to Pastor Saban and the message he just delivered, because that is gospel truth, absolutely 100%. And I do have to agree with him as an Alabama fan, as an Alabama graduate, that up until this season, we have been playing to that standard he's speaking of, being disciplined, avoiding complacency, doing the right things, putting team above self. However, this season, I feel like there was a different air with the team, and this is not making excuses by any stretch of the imagination. We got beat good by Clemson, very good Clemson team. But I do feel like the air had changed a little bit, especially from a defensive standpoint. I feel like complacency did set in a lot of times, and I felt like a lot of times Alabama played, like they were coasting, and because, quite frankly, they had the ability to do so. They didn't do it maybe to the extent of, say, Ohio State did, but Alabama did not play to that caliber of a typical Alabama team. And it just didn't. It seems like they showed up in the games that they felt were important, and other games they just kind of, tiptoed around, I guess is a good way to say it. That killer instinct, that mentality, and also being prepared just wasn't there. I felt like in the games where they felt like they were being slighted, like Oklahoma, they were focused, they were driven, they played pissed off. But in games like against Clemson, I feel like focus wasn't there. I feel like there was a lot of individuals doing individual things, and some perhaps just looking to get to the draft and, oh, by the way, maybe win a championship before then. But I just didn't see that same mentality that Saban was preaching about.
Tua Tagovailoa made a pair of surprisingly mistakes early. Alabama's defense was out of position at times, and the team's overall confidence.
At times? A lot of times, sorry.
And the team's overall confidence level wanted after the Tigers built 15-point lead at halftime. And Alabama's football team, they were defeated by 4 touchdowns. Never Nick Saban team has ever lost by 4 touchdowns. So this definitely was either Clemson did their homework or something happened internally.
It's both. Clemson certainly did their homework. Clemson definitely put in the work after suffering that defeat to Alabama, that rather embarrassing defeat to Alabama in the first round of playoffs in the previous season. I mean, they were embarrassed. So they came back with a point to prove, and they definitely had the talent there. And, man, that the leadership on that team, from the coaching staff to each of those players, especially the seniors, was just immaculate, just incredible. So Clemson did what they were supposed to do. Now, Alabama on the other side of the fence, like I said, man, they weren't the typical Alabama team. Now, I think you had some players playing to that standard that Coach Saban was talking about, but as a whole, it just was not there.
Anyways, that's a championship game that we'll definitely look back into and potentially have a rematch in the future because Clemson has a future.
Well, but I do got to add something to it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that Saban preaches heavily on complacency and avoiding that. And I think this was a good wake-up call for Alabama. I think the 4-touchdown beatdown is what Alabama needed, and they need to get back to being humble, like Saban was talking about. They need to get back to wanting to play to that standard and to demonstrate those traits and characteristics that he's talking about. And anytime Alabama has gotten embarrassed or has suffered a defeat like this, has gotten them back in line. So I think that only good can come from this.
Well, anyways, we'll be speaking about Alabama throughout the offseason. The spring game is coming up in April, so we'll definitely be discussing what happened, but obviously there'll be more, there's always questions and looking back. And anyways, big news yesterday. Flacco from the Baltimore Ravens was traded to the Broncos. Was that a big win for the Broncos?
Man, it remains to be seen. I think that John Elway right now is grasping for straws because not since the acquisition of Peyton Manning has he really made any good decisions when it comes to trying to solve their quarterback woes. I honestly feel like they really should have maybe looked towards the draft for their future, not so much to Joe Flacco. I'm a Ravens guy, but we really haven't seen an elite quarterback play for us, I guess, since the Super Bowl winning season where he won the MVP of the game. Since then, he hadn't really materialized into that elite level quarterback. And there's been several seasons where we're just sitting there just frustrated as all get out, wondering, okay, where is this quarterback that we just gave this incredible contract to? Why is he not living up to the potential that he was projected to have?
The Broncos have go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
The Broncos have about $37 million in cap space, 13th most in the NFL. On the surface, the move from Case Keenum to Flacco seems like a lateral decision by Elway. Flacco has struggled the last 6 seasons. Among 36 quarterbacks with a minimum 1,000 pass attempts since 2013, Flacco ranks 35th in passing yards per attempt, 35th in touchdown percentage, 34th in touchdown interception ratio, and 34th in passer rating per NFL research. The success or failure of Flacco trade will lean on Elway's subsequent moves at the quarterback position and elsewhere. I was reading a stat.
What's amazing?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's amazing in Santiago is that Elway and the Broncos have spent quite a lot of money at the quarterback position. Matter of fact, I think they're probably third in the league in most money spent at that position. And, you're speaking of Case Keenum, I feel like this is a Case Keenum trade again, but more glorified. And, yes, it does have that feel of a lateral move.
There was a stat that came out yesterday that the improvement for the Broncos to go to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl went from 22% to 26% after the Flacco trade. So it was.
That's only 4% greater chances they need an elite quarterback. They need a lot of things collectively to get to that level, but it starts with that offense and it starts with a quarterback. You know, their defense plays well, but the offense doesn't do anything worth even talking about.
Do you think Flacco is past his prime?
I don't even think he reached a prime.
Wow.
I think that he was a over-glorified average quarterback.
Yeah, he did take the Ravens to the Super Bowl back in 2015 or 14. I don't remember the exact year, but obviously that was...
But was it him that did it, or was it more so Ray Lewis, Ed
yeah.
Reed, and that incredible defense, and then the surrounding players? I mean, there was a lot of superstar pieces there, most notably Ray Lewis. So, I mean, Flacco did well. I think it's probably one of his better seasons during his Ravens tenure. But I wouldn't say that he was the reason why the Ravens were able to get to where they got.
And they were even thinking about, like, the Ravens, like, were also thinking about letting go of Harbaugh. But Harbaugh is such a good coach still.
No, there's no question about it. To be able to get the Ravens to not only a division title, but to the playoffs as well, after it looked like they were tanking tremendously, and to actually do what he did with the talent he had on that team, is just a tremendous coaching job.
You think this was a bit premature to have Lamar Jackson just now for sure is a starter for the Ravens?
Yeah, absolutely. I really feel like that they're jumping the gun. You know, I'm saying all this negative about Joe Flacco, but you know, I still think you need to keep him there one more season. I think Lamar Jackson needs to develop his overall game even more, because his offensive game is still so one-dimensional, and it's really easy to plan against that. Now it caught some teams a little off guard when he came in, and he was able to have tremendous success. But teams started really adjusting to that, as you saw what not San Diego. You saw what L.A. Chargers did against him in that playoff game, and it's just the offense turned one-dimensional. You know, say what you will about Flacco, but when he had the reins, the ball was being spread out a lot better, a lot more, and there's just some fluidity with Lamar Jackson. It greatly changed. Yes, the running game got a whole lot better, but the passing game was really abysmal.
Robert Griffin III, RG3, will become the second quarterback, the backup quarterback.
I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing, but you know, the thing is though, with RG3, nothing really changes in the dynamic of the offense. You know, if Lamar Jackson doesn't cut it, you bring him in, you essentially don't really have a different dynamic, because RG3 has been beaten up to heck and back, so his wheels aren't turning like they're used to. And let's be quite honest, he's just not quite the elite passer.
Who's better, Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray?
Oh, dear Lord. I think they're basically the same. Well, let me go back. Kyler Murray is a much better passer, and I'm not going to go and sit here and knock Kyler because of his height differential. But when it comes down to the intangibles, Kyler Murray, well, at least at a collegiate level, was multidimensional. You know, he could beat you with his feet, but he could also beat you through the air. And he didn't lean heavily on one side or the other. He was just that dang good at both. And Lamar Jackson was good at running, and is still good at running. So I would say being multidimensional grades a whole lot higher than just being one-dimensional.
There you have it. Kyler Murray is better, and he is committed to football. And some are predicting he might be a first-round pick.
Man, how much of that is reality and how much of this is just hype and to draw attention to the draft?
April is a proof in the pudding.
It's definitely going to be proof in the pudding. But you know,
at worst, he'll be second round, right?
Be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he drops to the third or fourth.
Well, there you have it. Sportscast will be covering the NFL draft in April. Sticking with the NFL, Antonio Brown had a cryptic tweet yesterday saying that he wants to leave Pittsburgh. And, of course, we've been tweeting about that this past couple of days. What are your thoughts about that?
Get him out. He needs to go, man. He's a cancer. You know, it's all about him. He's drawing attention to himself, and he's bringing distractions to the locker room. You know, much like his little partner in crime there, Le'Veon Bell. You know, I was, excuse me, I was watching on ESPN the other day, and an analyst made a very good point. You know, these divas, and he is a diva, don't win championships. And then that's very true. I mean, case in point, the New England Patriots. How many divas do you see on that team? How many people are bringing attention to themselves? How many people on that team are being distractions? Zero. It's just not happening. Because
and
they
plus,
understand.
Plus having Juju, they don't need him anymore. Juju Smith might be even better.
I think he's a whole lot better. I think he's a lot more driven. I think he cares about the team, man. You know, when he had a pretty large game against the Raiders, I believe, this season. Definitely could have sat there and held his head high and, you know, stuck his chest out and bragged about it. But instead, man, he was devastated because they lost to the Raiders. You know, he's not touting, you know, his glory. You know, I believe like he's a team player, and you also don't hear him running his mouth.
Where do you think Antonio Brown might be going? Denver, Baltimore?
Well, I certainly don't. I hope he doesn't come to Baltimore, but I think that this baggage that he has created and is now carrying is really going to affect the possibility of being picked up by a team, and definitely also from a financial standpoint.
Yeah,
you know, these coaches, these antics weigh heavily on these coaches and GM's minds. You know, a lot heavier than what the stats show. So, you know, I think that this is going to end up. I think he'll get signed eventually, but I'm willing to bet. I feel like this is going. He's not going to be quite the situation he's wanting.
Speaking about teams signing players, Kareem Hunt got signed by the Cleveland Browns on Monday. What are your thoughts about that?
I completely disagree with it. You know, I don't agree with bringing that into an organization. Also, if you just look past, even though it's hard, this situation from a talent standpoint, why do you need him?
Yeah,
you already got Nick Chubb. I mean, you got a pretty good backfield, so there really is no reason to bring another alpha running back in there. Clearly, Chubb is the guy, and he doesn't beat up people. So
yeah,
I just don't understand the move.
But also keep in mind the Browns, you know, if they do sign him for a year, he is on the commissioner list, so exempt list, and he could be suspended for at least 5 games.
Well, and that brings up another point. Why sign somebody until the commissioner clears them of this?
Yeah.
There's really no point. It's like, oh, we'll get him before someone else does. So, yeah.
I mean,
what does that mean in the whole grand scheme of things? Nothing.
Looking at the stats and everything, how good is Kareem Hunt? How much value does he bring to a team?
From a stat standpoint, he's really good. He's definitely an up-and-comer. He's a rising star, and, he came onto the scene in an incredible way, but you can't get past the off-the-field situation. No, am I saying that you shouldn't forgive someone, you shouldn't give a second chance? No, I'm not saying that at all. I just think this is just an issue that's just not going to go away very easily and does not need to be brought into an organization.
How many games do you think he should be suspended for?
All of them?
All season.
Well, he really needs to learn a lesson, and there needs to be a message sent to these players. You got to act right. You've got to make right decisions.
And
you're not above. Don't put yourself in situations you shouldn't be in.
We'll be looking at this situation. I believe in April is when Commissioner Goodell will make a decision of how many games he'll be suspended. He is legally allowed to sign with the team, but I really think the Browns to sign him because they just saw the talent potential and they just took the risk. Obviously, they don't really need him. Chubbs is as good as him, but definitely did a interesting move. And the Browns are looking much better now. Again, I mean, better than. Way better than last week, with Freddie Kitchens as coach, and Baker as quarterback.
They're looking a whole lot better right now, regardless, because they have some good players there that are really showing some potential to be something really good. They just need a couple key pieces in other areas. Like for instance, they need a good receiver opposite Jarvis Landry. Maybe go after Odell Beckham. But the thing is, can you get that personality of Odell Beckham to mesh with Landry and most importantly Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, and also you got Antonio Brown available. So
no,
you want to ruin something good, right? This past weekend, the Alliance of American Football launched. And it's the Spring Football League. It started a week after the Super Bowl. It consists of about 8 teams. Every team except 2 teams are not in NFL cities. And Birmingham, Alabama, has a team called not the Birmingham
Iron. They play in Legion Field.
And they have one of your fellow players from Alabama, Trent Richardson. What did you think about the first weekend?
Well, yeah, they got actually several Alabama players. They got Trent Richardson. They also have Xavier Dixon at linebacker, who had a really, really good game on that nasty Iron defense. Also had J.C. Hassenauer at center. Cole Mazza as a long snapper. I could go on and on. But
Demarius Travis.
First weekend of this, what?
Also, Demarius Travis.
Yeah, that's right. Well, man, great opening weekend. It's been highly anticipated, but also just well received from a fan standpoint. Man, the fans have responded in an incredible way, and they've
got more ratings than the NBA.
Yeah, had greater ratings than the NBA game in opening night. I mean, this is supposed to be some minor league thing, Obviously, the fans are making a statement here and saying, no, this is something that's a lot better. And I think that the AAF is the breath of fresh air that fans have been wanting, because a lot of fans, and you can agree with me or not. I'm curious to hear what you think. A lot of fans are kind of NFL fatigued. They're kind of done with the referee situation. They're kind of done
with bad calls. No catch, no catch.
Right. Well, and they're tired, and they're done with the drama that's going on.
Yeah.
So enter in a new league where the drama's absent. There's not distractions. You have, great play calling thus far. Matter of fact, in this league, man, you're allowed to hit. And matter of fact, we got welcomed into the AAF by an incredible hit. Matter of fact, San Diego Fleet quarterback Mike Brokovici, former Arizona State quarterback, to you Sun Devil fans, just got rocked by San Antonio's Sean Washington. And, man, I'm sure you saw it, but, man, it went viral over social media. And that just welcomed in the AAF in an incredible way. And then, after that, you got the return of the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, coaching his Orlando team to
which he wanted Tim Tebow on his team.
Yeah, he did. I don't know if anybody knew this, but during the formation stage, of the final formation stage of the AAF, he did approach Tim Tebow. He shot him a text or called him. I forgot which one it was. And you said, hey, I'm going to be coaching this new AAF team, in Orlando. You're interested? To which Tim Tebow politely replied, I'm just paraphrasing, I appreciate it, Coach, but I'm going to keep swinging the bat. Tim Tebow, those of you who are following him, he's right now in the New York Mets farm system, and I believe he's in AAA right now.
He's in AAA, which I think he could sign any moment to Major League Baseball.
Well, that's the thing. Absolutely. Well, that's what I was about to say. He's got a real strong possibility to sign on the main roster and be an action New York Met, whether it's now or some are predicting probably a little bit later after the opening of the season. So he wants to explore that, which I completely get. However, man, if that would have happened, I mean, that would have brought even more publicity and more incredible ratings. And
also he'll sell jerseys pretty easy.
Oh gosh, man, the financial potential of having a Tim Tebow in the AAF would have just been through the roof. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Vince McMahon, I'm going to say it right now, Vince McMahon will go after him for the XFL. And you better believe it. McMahon is going to put the money down, which I don't think Tim Tebow is really motivated by money, but McMahon is going to put it out there because he's bound and determined to have a successful product, especially after the first failed attempt. And I look to him to go after Tebow, but also possibly Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, that could potentially be that. But, he's sitting pretty with that Nike contract, so I don't know. He might pull Tebow. Hey, I'm good. I'm making a lot of money anyways.
Well, yeah, but I still think he wants to compete. But, back to the AAF, Spurrier had an incredible debut. A lot of that had to do with the incredible play of his quarterback, Garrett Gilbert, to remind you college football fans. Started his career with Texas Longhorns. He came in relief of Colt McCoy in that 2009 national championship game, where he showed a little bit of potential, but after that season never could quite catch on. Ended up transferring to SMU, and he's been an NFL journeyman. His last stop was the Carolina Panthers. He actually got a little bit of playing time towards the end of the season, but this is going to be his first go around as the starter of a pro football team, and he looked very, very good. Spurrier was at the top of his game. He won 40-something, I believe, to 6, and then after the game, he gave one of his usual entertaining speeches where he took a jab at his former NFL employer, the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
But and then going on from that,
also
then we had
like they say, the best quarterback is Arizona Hotshots John Wolford.
Yeah, he actually got Offensive Player of the Week. He had a pretty impressive game. But the guy that some people are looking at is a Birmingham Iron quarterback Luis Perez. So if you've not really done your homework, it has an incredible story. He didn't play football in high school. He was actually a son of a Mexican soccer player, and actually was on the path to becoming a pro bowler. Go
Wow.
figure. And then he decided he wasn't going to do that anymore. He wanted to play football. He said, I can bowl. I can bowl at 50 years old. I can't play football when I'm 50. So, and get this, folks, he learned how to play the position by watching YouTube videos. So then he walks on at Southwestern Community College, ends up doing pretty well there. While he's there, he actually enlists the help of former Oregon Duck and brief Cincinnati Bengal quarterback Akili Smith, helped him to develop, and he worked his way up the roster. Did very well. Actually got a scholarship to Division II Texas A&M Commerce. Worked his way up the roster. Started at whatever string, and ends up leading them to a Division II national championship. Wins the thing, and he gets picked up as an undrafted free agent by the Rams. Was doing very well. Sean McVay loved him, but unfortunately had to part ways with him. From what I understand, it was a very hard decision for him to make. But here he is now at Birmingham, and in his opening debut, well, it was pretty solid.
Yeah. The American Alliance Football League was started by a filmmaker named Charles Ebersol while making the ESPN 30 for 30 about the XFL, and he learned why the XFL failed, and saw those mistakes, and and created the American Alliance Association, American Alliance of Football, and obviously they designed the league not to fail like the XFL. So hopefully this league has a lot of potential. It does. It's only 3 months. April will be the playoffs and also the championship game. Next year the XFL begins, and they will have teams in NFL cities like Dallas and also New York. So we'll see which league will last. I hope one of the leagues, or maybe both, will survive, because typically anything outside the NFL, it's just hard to compete. But anyways,
but with the Alliance, though, it's not really competing with the NFL because, as you mentioned earlier, well, you didn't mention this. This is actually a part of the NFL. Several of the NFL teams are affiliates of the AAF. Matter of fact, the Dallas Cowboys have the San Antonio Commanders. The Pittsburgh Steelers got the Birmingham Iron, so on and so forth. So, and then you've got you have NFL people running the place. You've got former NFL players like Hines Ward, one of the head decision makers as well of the league. So the model itself is actually set up to be very successful.
Yeah,
and like I said, they're not competing against the NFL; they're a part of the NFL.
Yeah, and there'll be games held. Like a few of the games will be on the NFL Network, and also Turner Sports and CBS Sports Network, and also Big CBS will have some games on. So we'll see where it goes. Really excited about it, and also Chris Heckenberg is a really popular player amongst the league, just to name a few of them. But here comes towards the end of the show. Are you ready for some predictions?
Yeah, man. What you got for me?
All I have is the All-Star game this weekend. Team LeBron versus Team Giannis is pretty much West versus East. The West has Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. No, sorry. LeBron's picks are Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and Klay Thompson. And the East, Giannis. Wow, I don't even have the roster right in front of me. But
can you pronounce Giannis's last name? If you could do that for me, he would be a rock star.
Antetokounmpo. No, I didn't pronounce it right.
He's from Greece.
He's from Greece. Yes. He's leading the Milwaukee Bucks. They're actually second place in the East, so they're doing pretty.
Isn't that amazing how
well.
The Milwaukee Bucks are all of a sudden relevant or competing for the Eastern Division, whereas they basically were the team that they would guarantee whoever they were playing a victory. It's just amazing how that is just transformed.
Also, for Team Giannis includes Steve Curry, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kemba Walker. So who do you think is going to win?
Man.
And LeBron has Durant, Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Harden, Davis, and Klay Thompson.
So you got a couple of prima donnas on LeBron's side of things. Hey, if I'm not mistaken, is Dwayne Wade a reserve?
He is. He will be in the bench. That's correct. He'll be reserved. That is correct.
Well, the fact that he's there still, man, at his age, and people think that he's just washed up and fading out.
They kind of pushed him in there because it was going to be his last year, so they kind of put him in there. So.
You just really stole my thunder.
I know. I'm sorry about that, but it's the truth. He wasn't voted in by the fans. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, that just killed the point I was going to make. Man, I appreciate that.
Well,
certainly a great lineup. I mean, LeBron's got Team Prima Donna with Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Durant,
Klay Thompson.
Who leads the league in the. No, he does have Klay Thompson, which I really do like. I also do like.
No, he does.
Yeah, he's got Klay Thompson. He's on reserves. He's also got.
He'll be a starter.
What?
Klay Thompson will be a starter.
Oh, he will. Well,
hold on. Maybe not. Sorry.
Nah. Come on now, because
we'll find out on Saturday.
Tear up my roster that I printed out here.
Anyways, what do you got?
Well, as I just got through, bashing Team LeBron, gotta go with Team Giannis, man. Has a quite a assembly here of selfless players, players of good quick character, and who just lined it up, man. Are leaders on their team. I gotta go with the team that's got Steph Curry, man.
Steph Curry, man. He wants to get the MVP.
Man, no question about that. But then too, man, you got Joel Embiid, who's just playing with reckless abandon right now, and just playing really mad, and just really driven and really focused. And then you got Kemba Walker, who is pretty solid at the guard standpoint. And then the reserves, pretty solid reserves, man. So I gotta say, I gotta go with Team Giannis.
Team Giannis. I'm going for Team Giannis as well. And
finally, he's just a monster. And I love that this young kid is kind of taking over the league.
And random question of the week: who is your favorite Jones? Indiana Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Tommy Lee Jones, James Earl Jones, or Jerry Jones?
San Diego, I gotta ask you, man. Do you get a list of these things, or is this something you just get off the top of your head?
I cannot tell you. Really. I cannot tell you this. How I get these questions.
Cannot you why can't you tell me, sir?
Well,
I feel like as a sportscast family, we're entitled to know this information.
This is behind the scenes, man. We got researchers here at the Sportscast trying to get me these awesome random questions that I get. And
oh yeah,
yeah.
You got some researchers now.
We got some researchers, stats, everything that prepares for the show. And one of them is the random question part, which you guys love so much.
So I guess the budget's increased since we've moved to our own website.
Hey.
And
there's some lovers out there. So
there are. Matter of fact, there's some lovers of our Twitter page. But anyway, going back to your question, man.
You wanted to rename them all?
No, I got them. I just got a hard choice between Indiana Jones and James Earl Jones.
Ooh,
on one hand, you got one of Harrison Ford's iconic career-defining roles, and it was quite an epic one at that. One of the best series, excluding the last one, which was good until you got to the end and found out he's fighting aliens, which just doesn't mesh with the culture of Indiana Jones. And then you got James Earl Jones, the most iconic voice in Hollywood ever. I mean, he could just say any random word and send chills up your spine. Oh, by the way, he will be reprising his role as Mufasa in the live-action Lion King movie coming up.
As it should be.
Yes, it just wouldn't be right. And he's almost 90 years old. But, oh, man. gotta go with Indy, man. How can you not love some Indiana Jones, dude? Harrison Ford, one of the best characters ever created, other than Han Solo.
Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, all good. My pick is Catherine Zeta-Jones. I have to say, I mean, she's probably the best looking of all of them. So.
Well, you didn't tell me what the criteria for judging was.
Well, hey, it could be anything: acting, ownership. It could be business acumen. It could be looks. Hey, it's just a random question. Anyways, Justin, how can people reach you to talk to you about the Alliance?
Oh, about the Alliance, or any number of things, man. I'm all over the place here, actually, especially during the off season from Alabama football. So as you can tell by following me on Twitter, you'll see what I have my repertoire. Anyway, you can reach me email 121training, number 12, one spelled out, training at gmail.com. I am on Instagram and Twitter at 121training, and I am helping run the Sportscast Twitter handle, whatever you want to call it.
He owns the Twitter department. That's his off-air duties.
Off-air duties, man, and I'm handling quite beautifully, I have to humbly say.
He's realized really there's a thing called Steeler Nation.
Hey, getting a lot of love from Steeler Nation right now. I really appreciate you guys. So
just don't forget about the Cowboys, man.
I'm kind of disappointed that my Ravens Nation isn't really responding to the way our rival, the Steelers, are to what I'm doing.
There's no Baltimore Raven fans outside of Baltimore. That I can tell you.
Well, apparently not, especially from what I'm seeing here. So I need y'all to pick up the slack, or the black and gold might be becoming a part of my. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yeah, man, getting some real great interaction here as of late, and I've enjoyed doing that. And I encourage people to really follow us on Twitter, and would love to engage in more conversation.
Yes, the handle is The Sportscast1, all one word, twitter.com/The Sportscast1. You'll see all the news. You'll see the podcast on it. And Justin is going to interact. Well, I mean, not just him. It could be some other people in the Sportscast. Tyler.
It could be, yeah. If it's a bunch of Oregon nonsense, it's probably going to be Tyler.
Yeah, we'll see, different,
And if it's anti-Tua Tagovailoa sentiments, it's probably Tyler. But if you want somebody who's unbiased, who's going to give you a great view of all walks of sports, not just Oregon, it's going to be me.
But I'm really
just picking at you.
Really, really glad that the Twitter is going on, not just news, but also conversation and engagement towards our followers and fans and new followers coming through the Twitter account. But anyways, Justin Riley, we got a lot of sports going on. NBA. We'll see who does better this weekend, the Lions or the All-Star game. Can't wait to see the stats on that.
I tell you what, man, if the Alliance somehow upstages the All-Star game, I think we might be possibly on to something here, and you're really going to see just how well this league's going to fare over the next few weeks. When the newness is there, it's pretty alluring, but also isn't often indicative of how successful something's going to be. But so far, man, people have embraced it, and I think the fans are really appreciative to have this, especially a lot of the college football fans. This does kind of have a little bit of a feel of college football. The game's more meaningful. You got rosters full of guys that realizing every single game counts, and this is their probably for some of them their last shot to get to the NFL. So they're gonna give it their all. They're not gonna be sitting there whining about contracts
which I really hope helps out some players that want to go to the NFL. Hopefully, this player will. This league will provide opportunity. Obviously, they are getting eyeballs, anyways. This is aired on the NFL Network as well. So hopefully, we'll see. Yeah. Because the XFL just produced Tommy Maddox. That's it. And I was really disappointed. I wish there was more players. But
yeah, and here, you really have an opportunity for this to possibly produce a lot more players, especially since you've got NFL teams as affiliates. So the likelihood of it happening is a lot greater than what the XFL was. Also, another great aspect of it, and I realize we're approaching the end of our show.
We gotta go soon. I have to head out in a few minutes, so make this quick.
I will. I was just saying that the fact that it's filled with a lot of guys that those of us who are college football fans, passionate college football fans, can follow. The guys that we remember from our prospective schools and guys who really made up, what was great about the college football landscape. We're able to follow them again. So I feel like that is a really huge draw. And for me, that's Trent Richardson, seeing him back in the swing of things. So that's another great thing about the AAF.
Now we know where they are. Anyways, Justin, guys, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, follow, share to all your friends, retweet it. It will help us out tremendously. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and review. It'll help us out tremendously. Justin Riley, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you, sir. Look forward to our next cast.